Welcome to another podcast. This week's guest is Martin Gillespie, better known as Marv. How we doing?
Not bad, mate. How are you?
Quite right, mate. I'm on furlough again, so loving it. Was back to work for a week and then get paid off again. Well, furloughed again, so I can't complain.
Well, it gives you time to work on this.
That's it, mate. That's it. I've got a few more good guests lined up. So, changing it up a wee bit today, we're going to fire through some of your career, your life, misses, etc. And then we're going to do a fantasy football with players that you've played with. You look nervous when I say that, mate.
There's a few.
And then we've got a wee quick fire round at the end, yeah, just to wrap things up, which is all based on the Colts this time.
All right, okay.
So, you grew up in Rutherglen, which I never knew about. How long did you stay there?
I was there for 12 years.
Right. How was it, all right?
It was pretty quiet where we grew up. It was just, there wasn't any bother. It was just grab a ball and a couple of mates and go down to the nearest grassy field and kick it about.
That was that. You just played with your mates. So as you grew up, did you play with a lot of teams? Any teams when you were younger, or just your mates?
My first team was, I was 18 when I joined my first team.
Right.
I wasn't with any boys clubs or anything like that. It was just five-a-side when I was at school.
That was you. So you obviously went through school, skipped by all that. You became a spark. What made you want to do that? Was it something you always wanted to do? Was it just something you kind of fell into?
I kind of fell into it. It was never. It was not something I never really thought about. I'd done my work experience in fourth year in an office, and I didn't like it. So I spoke to my dad and he says, "Why don't you try something with using your hands?"
What a trade?
Like a trade. And he said his mate was looking for an apprentice. So I just I fell into it. I went out with him in the October week, enjoyed it, and then I left school at Christmas, started with him in January, and then I stayed with him for a couple of years.
Right.
Eventually my time out, and now I'm in a decent job.
Super. So did you have any something that you wanted to be when you were younger?
Obviously, every boy, well, 90% of boys want to be a football player when they're a wee boy.
Aye.
Never had the ability or the confidence.
The joy.
There was nothing that really kind of stood out. It was just, it got to the point where I wanted to go to school.
Yep.
And it was just, I wanted to go start earning money, whether it was at the point where I thought I wanted to go office work and then back into the building sites. It makes you grow up fast.
Aye, definitely. So, what do you do? Sorry, what you saying, mate?
You need a wee bit of a thick skin to work on some of the buildings.
To work on the sites, aye. I've got some stories for you now. We'll start working on the sites too, man. I get tortured, absolutely tortured, man.
When you get tortured.
I know, you just get home, you don't want to go back the next day. You're like 16-year-old, man, you're getting absolutely bullied, basically. You would never get away with it these days.
No.
You'd be hanging. So, are you working for a company? Do you work for yourself?
I work for Porter Cabin. We're based in Hampshire. So, and during normally around about this time of year, I'd be out and about to events and busy jobs with schools getting refurbed and all that kind of stuff. But all that's kind of at a halt now. But we got a couple of government contracts, so it kept us busy and the company didn't have to furlough anybody.
Super.
So that was good. It kept us busy and out of trouble.
Not bad. I see you've been growing a beard during furlough as well.
Right, an experiment.
So we'll move on to how you met Anne, your partner. You met her in 2013. How did you meet her?
Well, I was out for a play of the year night with Westburn. We'll go into them later on. And we were at a house just in between kind of Cambuslang and Halfway.
Right.
This was after the pub shut, so it was like 3, 4, maybe 5 in the morning. And one of the boys had been talking to a lassie on, I think it might have been one of the dating sites or Kick or something, whatever it was. And
Bebo, mind that.
But it was basically just, she was coming home for the tune, her and her pal. Turns out that her pal was Anne. And I could see him on the phone to her. And she's obviously asked if you get a single mate, and he's just pointed to me from across the kitchen. He's like, "You're single, aren't you?" I was like, "Aye." And he's like, "Right, you're coming with me." Where the fuck are we going? So went to a petrol station. Is that not how all romances start? You meet them at a petrol station first.
In the days, aye. In the days.
We kind of sat talking at the petrol station. Went back to my mate's house, and kind of he went in the house, pissed, and I basically got the two lassies home in a taxi. I got Anne's number, and she texted me the next morning, and then we just kind of started seeing each other, hit it off, and the rest is history, as they say.
Don't know how some things like that these work out, man.
It was one of the things I wasn't even looking for anything. It was just so she was the same. She wasn't along with the relationship. So
right. Good. So again, I can edit this out if you're not wanting to speak about it. You had a wee bit of a difficult few years recently.
Aye, I all started. Was it 2 years ago?
Right.
We lost Anne's.
Sorry.
We lost Anne's dad.
Right.
Unexpectedly. He went missing for a couple of days, and he was fun. Had a heart attack.
Jesus.
Basically, so he was out walking the dog, and it just happened. So he was missing for a couple of days. Everybody was up to Hydo looking for him, and the post turned up at the door with the dog. The dog had stayed with him, so that was pretty hard. After that, we lost our sister to cancer.
Jesus
about
Christ.
6 months later. In fact, no, tell a lie. We lost our sister first, and then we lost our dad. And then would be 14 months ago she had a stroke. So that was the best. That was the hardest thing, obviously, because she was in the hospital for best part of 7 weeks.
Jesus, man, tough.
But she was lucky.
To get through.
Aye, she was lucky where she had the stroke. I know it sounds daft, but when I tell the story, you'll understand why.
Mm-hmm.
The Sunday before it, my granny got taken in with suspected heart attack. Turns out it was nothing serious. It was just her blood sugar and all that through the roof. So we were up seeing her on the Tuesday night, and we went to leave. It was about 9 o'clock, 8:45, and she looked at me and says, "I don't feel right." And I could see the kind of colour had drained from her face a wee bit. And I just grabbed one of the nurses, says they're going to check her and make sure she's fine. And they rushed her down to A&E. So that was it. We were in a hospital when she had the stroke. So it's a blessing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't usually believe in things like that, but
no, definitely. Yeah.
There was definitely somebody looking down there.
Changes your full looking at things into a wee bit. I mean, it's...
Aye, for kind of then on, I've just stopped worrying about stupid wee things.
Yeah.
Things that I can't control.
So, obviously, I've seen that a while ago. How are things now?
She's getting better. Obviously, current situation with the pandemic and that, it's not allowing her to go to physical events like that. But we've got enough stretches and equipment in the house that she's bought or borrowed that we can do stuff in the house.
Yeah, that's good. Man.
She's getting there. She's improving every time, so it's all you can ask for.
That's it, mate. Glad to hear it. It's again, as I said in previous ones, talking to people, it's not something you can ever imagine going through. Do you know what I mean? And it's at least she's coming out onto the other end, and you're starting to get the exercises in. And so, what's in the pipeline for the 2 years forward? He's got plans.
Nothing concrete yet. It's just obviously focus on Anne's recovery and things like that, and then take it from there. Hopefully, get Australia in next year.
Superb.
Because we were win this year.
Best of luck to you, mate. I'm sure me and everybody else watching will be who possibly never knew about it. I knew you were all fit for a reason. Never knew full reason why. There
was only a few of the boys that knew.
It's no something.
Folk.
Aye, and it's not something in the changing room and it's gossips. It's like a lot of people have things and we don't. If that's it, it's personal, but they're always there if you need them. Do you know what I mean?
All the boys were great at that time because obviously Tel Smudger.
Yeah.
But there was a few folk like Lee, Mick Murray. I tell them because I was them away from it.
You've been pals with them for years.
Like they would just drop me a text, or if I was ever up watching the games, I could never commit to play, but if I could get down and watch, I'd be there.
Yep, definitely.
Big Mick was good at that point as well. So understood.
Good man. That's what you want, and it sounds daft, but there might be people out there that will go, well, do you know what? They might not understand. Do you know what I mean? But it's good that he understood and it was supporting you basically.
Yep.
So we'll move on to your football career. So as you say, you never really started playing until you're like 18 odd. You joined Calderwood Blue Star in 2008 in the Saturday leagues. Was there a reason you joined that team?
It was I was interested in playing regular football, maybe trying 11 sides to see how it went.
Yep.
And there was a boy that was still works for my dad now. He said that he invited me along to training basically, just to see how it would go. And I went there after a couple of weeks, and the manager he liked me. I was energetic. I was just willing to run and try and give 100% everything. But but the manager kind of liked me and asked me if I was interested in signing. So it was just a kind of friend that got me started. It wasn't in the papers. I don't know if you can still do that. Look for a team in the paper.
So, what position were you put into when you joined?
I was put into right back. I tried to be a kind of sitting midfielder, but he quickly shoved me over into the right back position.
How were you? I mean, I know you've been playing with the team, but people might know you. Were you happy to play there? Did you maybe go and say to him, "Look, I don't like there"?
Folk that know me well enough will know that I'll play anywhere for the team I'm with.
Yep.
I mean, there's only two positions I've not played 11 aside: striker and up front. I've played in every position.
So how was it? How did you find it when you first joined? Because obviously you hadn't played with teams. You'd only been playing with your mates. It
was hard. It was more the kind of fitness thing.
Yep.
See, they're going for 90 minutes and the intensity of the league we were in. Because I didn't start a lot of games.
Right.
But I came off the bench a few times and I get starts and friendlies and stuff like that. But it was just kind of bedding in. He told me that.
Yep.
There was players that I'll mention later on that were miles ahead of me at that point.
Uh-huh.
And I was just wanting to get in and learn.
Yep.
Learn for the kind of senior players, learn for the boys because the team I went into, they were under 21s together.
Jeez.
They'd won all sorts of trophies. I'm going in and they're all kind of like 26, 27, 28-year-old. I'm going in as an 18-year-old boy, just trying to break in. So it was a good experience, and I get enough games that want to prove to myself that I could improve and hack it at that level to such.
How were the boys with you? Because like you're saying, they were a lot older than you, and some people, if they're a new younger guy come in, try to take one of their places. You know what some people can be like.
Aye. The boys were cracking. Obviously, you get the banter in the dressing room, and that's a given. And the dressing room at Calderwood was very similar to the dressing room at the Colts.
Right.
Yeah,
so a good dressing room.
A really good dressing. The Colts and Calderwood are the two best dressing rooms I've been in. I'll tell you that now because there's no point in going through my full career and I'm telling you that. It's just, I'll tell you that now.
Yep.
But the boys welcome in like a family.
Aye, that's it. It makes a big difference, doesn't it? So, did you win any trophies or?
We won the league in my first season.
Super.
That was weird. It was weird how it wasn't weird how we won it. We were the better team that season, and it was just a couple of stupid results kind of let the team in. That were second.
Yep.
We'd finished our games and they still had to play a game extra.
Right.
So we'd done all we can do. We won our last game, and it was just we couldn't help it. It was a case of if they won the league. if they didn't win,
Yep.
we won it. And it was a Monday night the game was, so I didn't drive at that point.
Right.
So a couple of boys that did drive went to watch the game.
Right.
And round about 9:30, 10 o'clock, my phone starts blowing up. Obviously, we've won the league, this, that, and the next thing. So the next training, the gaffer just got us into training the next night. We usually trained on a Tuesday night anyway, and it was just a big celebration.
Aye.
But it was weird. We never actually got a trophy.
No?
Oh, we got medals, but we never actually got. The club never got a trophy.
That's
It was a funny league the way it was run.
Sounds a bit crazy, man. Not getting trophies and all that.
No, it was. There was a wee bit of corruption, we think.
Right. Aye.
So I'm not going to mention the team's name. I don't think. But on the off chance,
I think majority of leagues have. See me you're talking. Sometimes it's cutting out a wee bit.
Right, no bother.
Just
I'll
edit this wee bit out, obviously, but so 19 minutes. I'm just writing it down so I know when to go and edit it out. So you decided to leave Calderwood in 2013. Was there a specific reason?
Well, the full time at Calderwood, there was a lot happened again. So my second season in, I was getting more and more games, and the boy that was playing right back in front of me, every now and again, he was getting pushed up to right wing.
Right.
I was getting put in at right back, so he was still in the park to kind of help me and do that. So again, we went on a good run, won the league that season as well. So it was back-to-back league titles. So it was good. We were flying at that point. During that was another. During that summer, we lost a lot of players. So we went from the second division to the first division, and the first division into the Premier. We lost a lot of players going to junior and going to different teams. Folk want to try something new. That season was, in my opinion, the biggest in the club's history.
Right.
Is the manager had a stroke in November, and that kind of crippled the club a wee bit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because Graham was the life and soul of Calderwood. Him and his wife basically ran the full thing.
Jeez.
So when he took the stroke, we all took it hard. I still remember where I was to this day when I get the phone call. But after that, obviously, we still had to get our head focused and try and play in the league. It wasn't as strong a team as what we had in the previous 2 years, and it was hard. A couple of the senior boys tried to keep it going, but season ended up just a washout. We were struggling to get players at that point and things like that. So I stayed for another 2 years. I just out of loyalty.
Just stuck by him.
Aye, and it got to the point where when I left, I got to that stage where I just wanted to try something. There was a boy I still work with. He was with Blantyre Rangers.
Right.
And I just says to him, look, he'd mentioned that they were looking for players because I don't know if they were just starting up or they'd lost a few. So I went and trained with them for a wee while. That was the only reason. It was just there was no bitterness or anything towards Calderwood. It was just to try something different.
Yeah.
So ended up at Blantyre Rangers for a couple of months, and that didn't go how I expected. It was just I wasn't getting game time, and I felt as if I was at an age where if I wasn't getting game time, there was no point in me being there.
Yeah.
Felt as if no matter how hard I trained, no matter how I played, I wasn't getting a run in the team.
Yeah.
So I eventually left them after 2-3 months, and I went back to Calderwood. I just texted the manager saying, look, will you take me back? Kind of thing. No begging or anything like that. I'd realised the grass wasn't greener.
Yeah.
So I stayed with them for another, I think it was season and a half. Again, there was no titles or anything like that, but you could see there was a couple of, it was a good team.
Aye. Good.
Again, it wasn't what it was, but we tried hard to make it that way.
Aye, you tried to get it back to what it was.
Aye.
Was it, I know where you obviously, not try to hold pride, but was it tough to go back?
It was, I felt as if I had something to prove.
Yep. How were they? How were they again when you went back? Were they just the same?
The boys were magic. The boys were magic, and I just felt. I mean, there was nothing. I mean, the two boys that were running the team, they never made me feel as if I had something to prove. It was always just because I knew in my own way I was an asset to that team.
Yep.
So, because I think I might be wrong, but I think Lee was raised at that point as well.
Right.
Because Lee signed in my second season with Calderwood.
Right.
So he'd been there through Big Graham Stroke, that kind of stuff. But going back to that season, I felt in myself I had something to prove. So it just made me train harder, work harder on the park, and I just, rightly or wrongly, I felt as if I had something to prove. It was just.
Did you get straight back into the team, or was it again like your first time you had to work to get in?
I think there was a boy that was playing, and he was doing all right. So I just knew I had to bide my time.
Yep, no, come here.
Like, you get me injury, and then that was me back in the team. So it was. I knew I wasn't going to walk straight back into the team.
Aye, so you say a few of the boys went on to like junior. Did any of them go further, or is there?
No, nobody. None of the boys went further than junior, but there was a couple of right cracking players in their first 2 seasons. So as Stevie Stewart in particular, he was a midfielder. He could go box to box. He could sit in the kind of quarterback role and just start spraying passes and things like that. He was unreal. Scored one of the best goals I've ever seen in amateur football park.
Right.
Down at Stonehouse Junior Park. Basically for about 35 yards, caught it in a half volley, straight in the top corner.
Superb, man.
It was unreal. So he was.
That's good. So again, you then decided to leave again.
Aye.
Was it
again? It was. I just felt as if Calderwood wasn't the same.
Yep.
And it just so happened that that's when I'd started hanging about with Lee Moore, and then I met Mick Murray, Brogan.
Yep.
And Brogan's dad was manager of Blantyre Celtic.
Right.
So again, a lot of the boys might not know I'd played with him.
I've been dying to get to this bit. It's been brilliant, man.
Your face. How did you start? You left Calderwood for a second time.
Did you like that when I was going to that wee bit? So
you
were in the, obviously you were pals with Brogan and all that. Did you play right back again?
Aye. No, it wasn't the first couple of games.
Right.
I was right back and then I got moved into centre half.
Right.
But the couple of months before I left Calderwood, Brogan was on at me every time we were at the pub and every time we'd had a drink. Come on, Marv, you need to wear the hoops. You need to wear the hoops. I'm not doing that. I just kept it going. And eventually I crumbled to Brogan. After I'd sat and thought about it, thinking, well, they're playing in arguably the best amateur league in the country, because you're up against your teams like Colville Park and Bannockburn and teams like Greenock and that. So at the end of the 14-15 season, Calderwood's games were done.
Right.
Blantyre still had 2 games left, and Brogan says to me that his dad was struggling for players for one game. It was a cup, the semi-final, final. And he says, look, can you play? That was the game I played right back. And I done all right. We got beat 2-0 off of Greenock down there, but they were a good team.
Right.
You might remember that game, their left winger scored an absolute worldie.
Right.
To kick it off, and we just couldn't break them down.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, Brogy, he says to me, he liked what I could offer. So I went down to pre-season, signed with him that season, and again I played quite regular, which was a wee bit of a confidence boost. See, like going for the Lanarkshire leagues to like the best league in the country. I was going places like Colville Park, and you're going to Bannockburn and expecting a result.
Yep.
Like you've got an expectation on you.
So you're saying it's the best amateur league. Let people know who don't know what league you were playing in.
It was the Central. It was called the Foster Central.
Foster Central.
It was. I think it's got a different sponsor now, but
yep.
Again, it was Colville Park were frightening. So they
Have you got any pictures? You were the tops on
there. See if you speak nicely to Kevin Brogan.
Superb.
I was all over his Facebook for about a month.
I'll hunt them down on Facebook. That'll be the new display picture.
Photo that got taken at Atlanta Vixie's Junior Park.
Brilliant.
And all over his Facebook for a month. He was still eventually got the 40.
I'll fund that. I'll put that as the new profile picture of this podcast. So, how did the season go when you were playing? Was it? You're saying you're playing tough teams. Was you getting results?
It was difficult to obviously get results. I mean, that league was kind of, other than your Colville Park were running away with it because rumour has it they were paying players. So it's kind of like ex-pros and guys that had been about the junior scene for years and years. Yep. So they knew the game and things like that. But it was tough. It was difficult going to Colville Park and places like Bannockburn and Greenup and that. But we always felt as if we had the chance if we got them back to our place.
Yep.
And it was in a league where everybody can take points off everybody as well.
Yep.
Other than Colville Park.
I understand. So it sounds as if you're enjoying it and you were playing with your mates. Why did you decide to leave? I decided, apart from the colours and that and the team.
Believe it or not, to do with the colours. It was more to do with the fact that I had it in my mind that I was playing for the manager and not the club.
Right.
And Paul Brogan left. I think he'd just get sick of it. And guys no turning up and
takes its toll.
It's anybody that's, I mean, Smudger will tell you, running an amateur football team's hard.
Yep.
Never actually done it, but I've been close to guys that have done it and things like that. I've known guys personally that have run amateur teams and they struggle at times. And I think he just had enough, and I seen that as an opportunity just to no cut ties, because I still look for the results and that, but again try something different, because it's unusual for somebody to play with an amateur team other days. But kind of play for any kind of length of time.
Yeah.
I felt as if I'd in total maybe 7 years at Calderwood, and I just had to go out there and try
pastures.
So that was that. So just after that, I thought I'd maybe take a wee bit of time out, because I had a niggling ankle injury.
Mm-hmm.
I'd fractured my ankle a couple of years before that, and it never quite healed right. So I was always kind of, every now and again it'd flare up. So I thought, if take a couple of months out, I'll just get on the bike and things like that, just keep my bog standard fitness up.
Yep.
And it was a boy that I grew up with, considering my best pal. We always used to play together to out in the street and that, but we never ever played for the same football team.
Right.
And he gave me a phone, and he always kind of played kind of junior, like the Ayrshire teams. And he phoned me and says, "Look, one of my gaffers is taking your drum chapel, and he's going to give you a phone." I says to him, "What does he know about me?" And he's like, "Oh, I've talked you up big time." I'm like, "Oh, fuck you." Here, Scott, you're setting me up for a fall.
Brilliant, man. So, what did the manager say?
He phoned me up a couple of nights later, and the way he spoke to me on the phone, it was as if he knew me for months. Right. He phoned me up, and I obviously didn't recognise the number, because Scott says, "Look, if the number phones you that you don't recognise, just answer it. It'll be Geordie." All right, no bother. So he's phoned me up, and he's the kind of gravelly voice of the phone. "Marty boy, how you doing?" I'm like, "I'm all right, big man. How are you?" And he's like, he kind of basically says that Scott had told him that I'm a kind of solid hand at the back, and I'm fit, I'm quick, all that kind of basically kind of talked me up.
Yep.
And he said he was looking at taking our drum chapel. Nothing was sealed yet, but it was looking good. And he was taking a core of boys for teams that he had taken, and taking them over there. I mean, I was the oldest of the five of them, and I was like 29, so I still had a couple of years left.
Yep.
And we basically went to pre-season. He was delighted with me after the first session.
Super.
It was basically a sprinting drills and running drills, and you know how much I love it.
Suits you to a T, man. That suits you to a T.
It's right up, right. But again, that was it was kind of similar to Blantyre Rangers.
Right.
That kind of thing. They were playing in the same league as what Blantyre Celtic were.
Right.
So again, we're playing against teams like your Coval Parks,
Yep.
but the expectation walking into Drumchapel, it's different level. It's next level stuff. Because I don't know if you know the history of Drumchapel, but they've had some famous playing with them.
Nah.
So Alec Ferguson's played with them.
Oh, really?
I think Kenny Dalglish at one point.
Oh.
McLeish was involved in them. So you walk into the room, there's names above the pegs.
Got a big history.
Who's all played there, and it was mental. And you used to get your training gear from Man United because of Ferguson connection.
Superb,
it was like so we'd get the previous season's Man United training gear.
Wow.
Training, and you're getting the squad numbers and all that as well. And I was like, at one point I lifted up with number 10. And I'm like, I don't think I'm fit to wear that. Man United number 10 at that point was Wayne Rooney. I'm like, nah.
I'm surprised it fitted you with him wearing it.
Well, a bit big, but we'll not get into that.
What was the difference in fitba like when you went to them for like your previous teams? Was it harder or was it?
It was a lot more ball orientated.
Right.
So in the last league, it was kind of physical.
Yep.
All about intensity. I mean, going back to the Calderwood days, we were by far the fittest team in the league.
Right.
We could get into a game getting beat 2-1 with 20 minutes to go and know we could turn it around and 3-2, 4-2.
Yep.
Because that was just down to Graham's training.
Right.
Graham was just he was a fitness freak, but in the higher leagues it was more kind of ball orientated. The ball done the work, and it didn't matter how fit you were, the ball was always going to go quicker, and it rings true. But again, there was no difference. Well, there was a wee bit of difference in intensity, and it was just the expectations. Because again, teams like Blantyre Celtic have got a good history.
Yep.
Drumchapel, great history. He's just winning trophies, and especially with Drumchapel, you're getting into games with Coval Park, and they're expecting a win. I mean, Coval Park ran riot with the league the previous season, and the manager's looking at us going, we need to beat these. So
expected.
It's not hoped, it's expected.
Yep.
That you beat teams like that. So
again,
I didn't think it fazed me.
What's it?
I didn't think it fazed me at all.
Nah, you're like that though. You just take it in your stride. I mean, you could be playing against a professional team and you turn around the change room and everybody's maybe, but you turn around, you're just like that. Smiling away. You know what I mean?
At the end of the day, I get taught, not an early age, but my early career, it's 11 guys on a park.
Yep, that's that.
It doesn't matter who they are.
Beatable.
They could have a bad game and you could have a good game. See, as long as you win your first battles,
yep,
game will take care of itself.
So, like you're saying, obviously, they had a big history. Was there any players that you played with then that's maybe went on a bit further? Or nah?
I think the team we went into was all kind of elder statesmen, and it was just young boys that were coming through.
Yep.
But there was nobody. In fact, there was nobody that really kind of touched me. They were a good team.
Yep. But
there was no standouts to think he's going to go far or anything.
So again, it sounds like you were really enjoying it. Why did your time come to an
end? Combination of things.
Apart from the area you were going into, but apart from that.
Well, I was never too keen in driving 45 minutes for a game of football.
Mental, innit?
But to start with, I never, obviously, I found Drumchapel very cliquey.
Right.
And because Geordie had a fallout with the committee,
right.
So he left under a bad mood. And he'd left the 5 boys that he'd taken, which included me, Scott, and the 3 other boys. One of them was his brother. And we just felt as if our faces didn't fit. Because there was 2 centre-halves. The 2 starting centre-halves went on holiday for 2 or 3 weeks. So it allowed me and Big Kev got a run of 3 games. I think we conceded maybe 1 or 2 goals in
Right.
the 3 games, and it was in the league, so it was good standard. We were keeping, and right away as soon as they 2 get back, I was hooked to the bench again.
Shafted.
And it was just again kind of similar to Blantyre Rangers. Didn't matter how hard you trained, anything like that. You just want to get a look in on the Saturday.
Yep.
I managed to get a game in a Scottish Cup tie around about the October time, and the striker was running through 1-on-1 with the goalie. I managed to catch him, made the sliding challenge, and the bottom of my leg got caught underneath my body, and I felt pain going up my knee. And right away I thought, I'm gubbed here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gubbed. I didn't know how bad it was. I just knew it was bad. But I managed to stone up and clear the ball into the stone. And then I went down. The physios came on, took me off, and I couldn't put any weight on it. So that was me out for a couple of months.
Wow.
But to be honest, I think it was an injury's never good timing.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew I was going to be out for a while, and I just thought, right, I think it's just time to call it. So I decided to take a bit of time out to amateur football.
Yep.
Because if anything happens like that to me again, I mean, I was back up and walking properly in a couple of days.
Right.
But there was nothing completely damaged in my knee. It was just either stave tendons or something like that. But it put the fear of God into me, see, for my work.
Yeah.
That's when your football work balance comes into it, and you're thinking, if I get another bad injury, I'm off work. I can't provide for my family or anything like that. So I think it was kind of, I spent about 6 months no kicking a ball at all after that.
That was kind of the main reason why I wanted to start this up, because obviously there's always all these professional ones, and I don't think people understand at amateur, like, you've got your job to go and do as well. Do you know what I mean? If you get seriously injured, I mean, like you're saying, you're out in sites working, and sorry, maybe you're sitting behind a desk, but I don't think people realise how dangerous it can be if you pick up an injury. You're not going to get an income if you can't get work.
Aye. I mean, I've been quite fortunate in the way that I've only had 2 serious injuries for started. Well, the one at Drumchapel wasn't a serious injury. It was more mental. The one at Drumchapel, but the one I get one at early days of Calderwood, I broke my collarbone. Again, so that was me out of work for 3-4 weeks. Because obviously I'm a manual worker. I need to use my hands, and my arm was in a sling for 3 weeks.
Jeez.
And that was it. But I've been quite lucky that way. I mean, I've known boys that have broke their leg and with serious knee injuries that have been off months and months on end. So I've been quite lucky.
I think we kind of Brogan, something like that, isn't he? He was...
Pretty much, aye. And Brogan's been out for, over a year now?
Aye. He's started to slightly come back and he's building it up, but I mean, there you go. He was out for a good while just with his knee, and
And that was a shame. He was coming into a good bit.
Brogan was playing really well at that position, and it just, again, unfortunate time, and it just shows you it can happen to anybody on that pitch, and it's your livelihood's done. Do you know what I mean?
And you don't think about it for that 90 minutes.
Yep.
Well, anyway, it's just you get into a tackle thinking I'm going to go and win that ball.
Yep.
But then it's not after the game. See if you come out with a bit of a sore ankle or a sore knee or something. You're thinking it could have been a hell of a lot worse than what it was.
That's it. We've not got like your physio sitting in the background and that. Do you know what I mean? You've got to get him and put the old bit of ice on the knee.
Aye. Hot and cold therapy.
So you say you took a wee bit of time out. How long did you take out exactly? Can you remember?
Well, I know you're going to go into this, so it was basically I went for Drumchapel to Colts. That was the time limit. But again, it was I wasn't bothered about not playing a team.
Yep.
I mean, after the initial 6 months, I get back playing 5-a-sides. I was still going out running and things like that. I was at the gym, and it was Lee Black.
Yep.
It was about Christmas time. Before I signed in the March, and it was about Christmas time. It wasn't long after he started up.
Yep.
Or it started in November. Am I right?
Aye, November. Aye.
He was kind of on it kind of just after New Year, just like need a bit of experience. It's boys that's played sevens together, and they're just kind of starting up an 11s team. At that point, I wasn't interested. he spent a good couple of months not chasing me, but
Well, I remember you there quite a few times just watching.
I went and watched
and just
twice.
kind of starting to talk about you and that, and I remember you watching a few times and I would say, who's this? And Lee would go, it's blah blah, and I go, aye, you're just there watching, and then
Aye.
speak to people that go, oh, Marv's a good player, and I'm like, well, get him in the team then. It's like, he's not sure, he's...
Aye. It was nothing to do with the standard of the team or anything. It was just it was all in my head.
Yep.
Whether my knee would hold up or anything like that. But that was Lee's kind of his selling point. He's like, come down and watch us, see what you think, and if you've got a wee bit of advice, just obviously he's been round the block in amateur football at different levels. So he's like, just come along, and I think it just so happened that there was a friendly coming up in March against, is it Glasgow Heart or something?
Aye, I think that's the last game I played and I gave away 2 goals. I backed it after that, man.
I think was that not the only 2 goals that we played?
Probably,
we conceded that.
That's somebody shouting on me.
But Lee basically just says to me, look, there's a friendly, come and get a go.
Yep. That's it.
I played centre half with Bruni.
That's right. I think I came on for you, did I not? Or was it not? It was Bruni I came on for? Because you stood on the guy's foot, remember, and he was going absolute mental at the corner. He's blaming me. I'm just on the park, I've not done anything.
That's right. There's a few of them I've got on my sleeve.
I can just remember you telling the boy, just playing man up and stop moaning.
After that game, I got the bug. The bug was back. It was like I never left. I just decided to play.
Back in it. Again, would you kind of say it was kind of falling out of love a wee bit with the football?
A wee bit. Aye.
Because, I mean, we went through it last week with Big Ross's interview, and he had the same thing after an injury. He just fell out of love with it.
I think it was more the fear of losing time off my work.
Yep.
I mean, nobody loves their work 100%, but at the end of the day, income every week.
Well, that's it. You need money to get by. See if Lee perhaps wasn't the one that convinced you, do you think you would have got back into football? Or do you think that was you were calling your time on it? I
think, being honest, I was happy just to call time.
Right, you'd done your time. And
in like a game of 5s and a game of 7s a week, just to see the kind of two games a week, and I was actually thinking to get my season ticket back at Ibrox. So it just got to that point where I was happy with the career I'd had. I mean, I've got a couple of winners' medals. There's no everybody can say they've got winners' medals at this level.
Oh, definitely, definitely. So you've obviously hit Colts when you come in. Was it Mick that was the manager when you come in?
No,
Smithy still. Smithy, aye. So where did you get into your centre back and right back roles again? I know you said you played centre back with Bruni. Did you start in at centre back right away?
I can't mind if it was centre back or right back, but it was one of the two, because that's the only 2 positions I've played for Colts. I had a game at left back once, but I've kind of focused on the centre half. Probably right back.
Right back.
Aye, probably right back.
How did you find the quality? I mean, again, when you came in, we were just no long in, and we were still bringing players in. How did you find the quality of football?
Are you talking about in the team or just the teams we were playing against?
Both. Let's go through both. So, how did you find the Colts team?
The Colts team, I was actually surprised, because the way Lee was talking about it was just 7-a-side players hadn't played 11-a-side before.
That's exactly what it was, aye.
I was more coming in thinking they might be decent players, but positional sense on an arm, that's totally different for a 7 back. But I was surprised with the level of ability and the awareness as well. And I thought there was a making a good team.
Yep.
And again, turn out in the future with a couple of good additions that would prove the case. But I think I was pleasantly surprised, we'll say.
Compared to your opposition in other leagues that you've played in, how's been the opposition in that league, the Glasgow one that we've played in?
The Glasgow one? Aye. Again, there was a couple of good teams come up against. Like your Pollock Shields were decent.
Yep.
I thought Ferguson were decent as well.
Yep.
But again, there wasn't much in it. Could have played against right good Sunday teams as well. So like Castlemilk Dynamo and that.
Aye.
they're different level as well. But I think so. There's a few teams in the Glasgow League that will give Dynamo a game. I think.
So obviously, I know we kind of probably answer. What's been your favourite moment at the Colts?
Apart from the obvious one, I'll go with the obvious one.
Apart from the obvious one of winning the league, have you got another favourite?
Just getting to know the boys, basically.
Like we say, it's a good dressing room, and it's
very good dressing room. I mean, I could say that it was Smudge or Paul on their side and giving me the captain's armband as well.
Yep.
A while.
Became the leader.
But it was the biggest thing for me is just that kind of sense of family in the dressing room.
How did you feel that responsibility was when Smudge basically says, right, Marv? Because I think there was a vote or something, and a lot of people come out and say, listen, Marv's a leader.
It was a game at, I can't remember where we played. Was it Scotstoun maybe?
Right.
And he says to me, I was one of the last at the dressing room, and he says to me that he was going to make me captain. He's like, would you be interested? I was like, aye. I mean, I wasn't going to knock him back.
Yep.
I've never actually seen myself as a kind of
leader type.
No leader. I've never been a captain.
Right.
That kind of. If boys want to come to me for advice, I'll give them it.
Aye. I think that's well documented in the team that that's like you're saying, you're trying to get your words carefully because you're good in the dressing room and you're good at giving them advice. You'll speak to them. Do you know what I mean? And it's like if we get new players come in, we'll say, Marv, talk them through their first game. Do you know what I mean? You're the kind of guy that we go to.
Aye. I mean, if somebody's not sure of the position, see, like somebody's playing centre half that I'm not sure of.
Yep.
I'll talk them through the game.
That's what you're wanting.
But to me, I think Paul Murray's the best option as captain.
Aye. I think it shows it, and it's.
Mick gave all the captain's armband. It wasn't a. I'm not going to say it wasn't a shock. I mean, obviously I was gutted when it happened, but I wasn't angry about it. I wasn't anything like, because I seen myself. Paul was a captain without the armband. Never mind with. So it was just. It was the right choice.
That's that. So obviously we're moving to a new league next year. How are you heard? Do you know anything about this new league? We're moving to the Airdrie Coatbridge League.
I'd heard of the teams like Bullfrog and that, but I've been told that they've moved league or folded and things like that. So the only one I really know about's Blantyre Vicks.
Right.
That's because Mick Murray plays in them.
Aye, and Bill, ex-players.
Bill. There's a boy at Calderwood who plays them as well.
Right. So a chance to come up against him.
He was a good player too.
Get him into Colts. So moving forward, how many years do you see yourself continue to play for? What do you want to do after you play?
I don't know. It all depends on how my body hangs up.
Yep.
I mean, my fitness is always going to be there. Again, I put that down to the early days at Calderwood. Mm-hmm. Leo'll tell you that if you ever get Leo on this. Graham's training was murder at times.
Torture.
But it was murder in a good way.
Aye, kept you going and got you ready for it. Well, it's got you ready for the rest of your career, as you're saying.
It set me up. And I'll play as long as my knee and my ankle hold up.
That's true. Keep going.
Or until I feel as if I'm no benefit to a team.
I think that's a long, many years before that happens, mate.
That's up to the management.
So obviously, if you're still going, are you looking to get into the coaching side after it? I mean, you've got some great experience. You've played with some great teams. You know what I mean?
Definitely, it's been something I was thinking about when I took my time out of football. I was actually thinking of just getting involved with like a boys' club.
Right.
Your Blantyre Soccer Academy is the closest one to me, and they'll put you through your badges and all that as well.
Superb.
So as long as I'm associated with them and I show them a wee bit of loyalty, they'll put me through my badges.
Yep.
So it's definitely something I'm going to get involved in towards the end of my career. I'm not going to say that's soon, but
no, you're not going to jinx yourself or have something. I think, like you're saying, keep going until I think inside your head, you know yourself. When like Big Ross says, he knew his time was done. He says, I just couldn't offer anything more. It was
unless obviously life's always got the potential to throw a span on the works.
Definitely.
So
definitely.
if I feel in my head that I'm right to keep playing, I'll do it.
That's it. It's a great career, mate. You've been about, and
Aye.
Played some good football. One, you get, as you say, no, everybody can turn around and say they've got medals and trophies. You know what I mean? It's
I've got 3 of them.
show off. Right. So earlier on, I gave you the task of making a fantasy football team of players you've played with in the amateur side of football.
Right.
You said to me you were getting a bit sorted.
I had to go for a lie down.
You asked me if you could change formations, and I was thinking myself, right, he's going to come up with a good one here. You finally come up with it. So
Aye.
we'll spend about 5 minutes going through it, because I know you're wanting to watch football the same as I want to watch football. So let's start. In goal, best keeper you've played with, a wee tiny 10 seconds brief.
It was this one was I could say every position would be difficult, but the goalkeeper will be Dean Wilson.
Dean Wilson.
Aye. I only played in front of Dean for like 3 or 4 games, but what I seen was he was commanding. He was good with the ball at his feet.
But Dean
Good
had
with his
scholarship, didn't he? He was in America for a few years as well, and he's.
He'd understand why he was over there and things like that, why clubs were looking at him. But he's arguably the best goalkeeper I've played with.
Dean's come back, and he's obviously, I don't know if you know it, but he's joined a junior team. Can you see Dean going further than juniors?
Aye.
Got the potential.
Aye. If he doesn't go into the lower leagues of Scottish football,
yep.
Definitely go. Well, junior football is no longer relevant anymore. It's now the West of Scotland League.
Aye.
But I think he'll go. He's got the potential to go high, and like the kind of top junior teams.
Yep.
I knew he was at Bell's Hill last season.
Right.
Because the boy I work with used to be assistant manager there.
Right.
So.
Right, let's fire through. Sorry, where are you going? You're going 4-3-3, aren't you?
4-3-3, aye.
Let's fire through your back four.
My back four is George Melrose at right back.
Yep.
Two centre halves are Gary Shearer and Robert Borg. And my left back Scott Biggert. Now, 3 of the boys I played with at Calderwood Blue Star.
Right.
George was the one that he took me under his wing.
Right.
When I first went into Calderwood. I basically watched him to see how he played and tried to kind of mirror my game on his.
Superb.
Gary, when I played with Gary, was in his 40s, but you could see he was a player in his time. He's won the Scottish Cup with Blantyre Vicks and played at all sorts of junior levels. So,
superb,
in his head, he was there. Robert Borg, just a big, athletic, powerful centre half that could command any area. Liked his wee mazy runs with the ball, but apart from that, and Scott was just a solid left back. He was up and down. He was good in the air. So that back four for me will take a bit of beating in their prime.
Going to your 3 midfielders.
I couldn't have a midfield without having this guy just sitting in front of the defence, and it was James Cambridge,
right.
affectionately Duff.
Who's that?
McDuff.
Right.
He was basically the heartbeat of the Calderwood team, and he was the captain for years and years. He was the one that took over when Graham had the stroke.
Right.
And I've never known a guy that can hit a ball 50, 60 years at this level and put it in somebody's toe.
Jeez.
And he wasn't the most mobile. He'll probably not thank me for telling you that, but it was just, I couldn't have a midfield without him. And I've previously mentioned Stevie Stewart, and the other one's Paul Murray.
Of Colts.
Aye, of Colts Athletic, because he just offers you something that not a lot of midfielders do at this level. And it's big, heart, power, and he's got the ability as well. It's not as if that's just all he's got.
No,
he's got to take a ball in tight spaces. So that midfield again, to me, it's a good midfield.
I don't obviously know your other boys, but one thing that stands out for me is Pabs is, see if you're struggling, he'll take the ball and he'll help you.
Aye.
He'll never shy away from taking the ball. He'll take the spotlight off you, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like we say, that's a good captain. It's something like you would do. You would happily go and do it in a game. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
And I think it's good to have players like that will go, right, I'll take the spotlight off you a wee bit. Give me the ball. and I'll maybe drive 10 years, and it'll make you look that wee bit good because you've done the pass.
Aye.
So moving on to your forwards.
My strikers were trying to get the right combination because I'll give Big Oaksy a shout. He was close, and so was Lee Black. So I've went with Davy Carr, Ryan Wilson, and Jerry Craig.
Right.
And Jerry Craig and Ryan Wilson were Calderwood boys. Jerry was 6'4", built like a brick shithouse, and could finish.
Oaksy's not
And
going to
Ryan,
like this.
What?
Oaksy's not going to like this.
The two of them are very similar in the way they played. Jerry was a bit less mobile than Oaksy, but the boy I've got next to him done all his running for him.
Right.
Ryan in his prime was unreal, skillful in the ball, can take 3 or 4 boys on, and again, unbelievable finisher. Davy Carr is the only striker I know that he could ping a ball into his chest and it would land on his toe. He can pull a ball down for any height at any speed and control it. And his link-up play was outstanding. I played with Davy Blantyre, Celtic and Rangers. So
he's a turncoat as well then. out of all the players, who would be your captain on the park?
Between James Cambridge and Paul Murray. I'll probably go with James Cambridge just because when I played with McDuff, he was 28, 29-year-old and he'd all the experience in the world. He'd won trophies, he'd done this, he'd done that. And that's not to say that Paul probably might eclipse that.
Yep.
Hopefully eclipse that with the Colts. Wins a few more trophies and does that.
Yep. And
captain will be McDuff, vice captain Paul Murray, and I'll just give the manager to Graham White.
Graham White. Big influence on your career, like you says.
You asked me to put myself in that, but I wouldn't feel right putting myself in that team.
Aye. Well, you're a good player as well, mate. So you've played with two big teams for a reason. Do you know what I mean? It's obviously a lot of people some people will put themselves in. I mean, you know, like we could go through a list of certain players that would definitely put their name in. But
and by the way, the players that you're hinting at, I've got every right to put themselves in.
Oh, definitely. Again, I think you should have put yourself in because you've been a great player. Do you know what I mean? I'm saying that as if you're not a great player, but you know what I mean. You're a good player. And I don't think you value yourself as much.
I just felt there was a better option at right back, and the two centre halves I wouldn't get a game in front of me. So I've played with both at centre half, and they make it dead easy playing next to them. So again, I was young at the time, so they talked me through the game. They told me where I had to be and things like that. I just didn't feel right putting myself in either of the two positions.
How would you look back on your career? How would you describe
it? Mixture up and downs. But the good times were really good. And the bad times, obviously, with the injury at Drumchapel and things like that, obviously, that kind of got to me a wee bit for the first couple of months, and then I kind of settled in with the fact that was me done.
Have you got any regrets, and you can't say Blantyre Celtic?
No, that's not it. No, I'm never really one for hold it regarding things as regrets.
Yep.
I don't really regret anything. You look back and think, was it the right time to do that? Was that right doing that? But at the end of the day, you've made your decision. You can't go back on it.
Definitely. Great career, mate, and your fantasy football is interesting. It'll be interesting to see some comments underneath where am I and how was I on your team, or some people saying a thanks, you know.
I'm hoping to have calmed that down a wee bit by giving certain folk a special mention.
Them the starts, I'll just turn the comments off. So usually I do a wee 60 seconds quick fire round, but I've just got a few wee quick questions and just get wee short answers after you, and we'll go through it. This one's just all about the Colts. Right?
Oh.
So who's the quickest?
Ryan Gray.
Who's the funniest?
There's a few candidates for that. I'll go with Paul Murray.
Who's the moaniest?
Ryan Gray.
Who loves himself?
Oaksy.
Who's the slowest?
We've not really got any slow players.
We're quite lucky with speed, aren't we?
Aye.
So we'll skip by. We'll go to who's the daftest.
Daftest. Can I put myself in that one?
I don't know, man. I think we'd all have to say Kev. Let's be honest.
Oh, I forgot the Kev. Sorry, Kev.
Who's the teacher's pet?
A few. There's a few that's always in and about Smudger.
Yeah. You want to name them? You want to?
Nah.
Get by. Who's always late?
Paul Murray.
Always forgets her kit.
Sim.
Definitely.
Paul.
Obviously, we've been through this one a few times. Leader.
Paul.
Who's the hard man in the team? I'd maybe put you in that, man, because you love a crunch tackle in the air.
So does Paul, though. I'll say Paul.
Who loves a selfie?
Oh, Christ. I've already said Oxy, so I'll say Caldo.
He does. Who sorts the music in the changing room?
Smudger brings the speaker. Paul's got the playlist. Paul sorted the playlist.
Who gets the most fines?
The Smudger fine folk.
There be things, aye. Well, I mean, like for yellow cards and red cards and that, and
Lee Black's good for a yellow card every now and again.
I had the red card. He's not the red card for a while, right enough.
Aye. But when he does get a card, it's usually for something good.
And they're using the same few weeks.
Aye.
And the last but not least, who's the longest in the shower?
Gormal takes his time. So he did.
That's what I mean. That was great, man. Again, I'm always surprised at hearing how good some great careers is and how they went through different emotions and struggles. You know what I mean? It's a great again.
I've actually kind of took time to look back on my career, and I've looked back and I've enjoyed it.
Do you find that you kind of appreciate it a wee bit more? How?
Aye, I think obviously when you're young or you're kind of just living for the moment and taking it game by game. But obviously I'm in my 30s now, I can say. So I'm looking back thinking I've had 12 years in the amateur game. Yep.
That's it, mate. You've still got a few more years to go.
I hope so. I hope you're right.
Superb, mate. Thanks very much for coming on. Really appreciate it. I think
no problem.
It's been great to listen to all your stories and hopefully we get back to foot. Yeah.
How long do you take before you dig that photo out?
Well, Sunday. I've still got 3 days before this gets released, so plenty of time, mate. Plenty of time.
Take it. That's going to be the thumbnail.
It could be. I'll see if I can find it. I'll see if I can hunt it down.
I've not even got any in the Platinum Rangers kit that you could kind of half it with.
If you send that, my computer won't work with that. If you send that. Thanks very much, mate. I really appreciate your time.
Hey, brother.